Today we're going to be talking about the 10 best cards in the history of NBA 2K My Team, from NBA 2K13 all the way to NBA 2K23 right here, lads. We're going to be talking about the guys that were pretty much unguardable in their respective games.
So NBA 2K15 had a lot of OP cards. The Dr. J you can see on screen is OP, but for me, Michael Jordan was just the best. Because this was when cards were still somewhat realistic, and they were heavily reliant on their animations, and 2K at this time used to give the best players the best animations. Unless, well, other than like Aldridge jump shot, Jordan had the best dunk animations, Jordan felt like he was the best, Kobe had the best fade, things like that. And for me, it was Jordan was a step above Dr. J. As great as Dr. J was, as great as Carmelo was, I think Jordan was just that little bit more unguardable. I had T-Mac, I had a lot of other players, but Jordan was impossible to stop. He was too fast. He was a decent enough shooter that you couldn't step off on him. As well as that, he was the best dunker in the game. In a game where dunks were notoriously hard to block.
So 2K15 Jordan was just hell. My best player, and I had Onyx Kobe, I had T-Mac, I had Wilt, I had them all, man. This is when the DBG channel started. My original GOAT was a Michael Jordan card from 2K14. So he was so hard to guard. And the good thing was that most people ran at the end of the year were running their T-Macs. They were running their Kobe's. They weren't running the regular old gold Michael Jordan, who was just dominant.
2K16 Steph, it didn't matter what version of Steph you used because they all got that Steph animation with that Hall of Fame Limitless Range badge. Basically, 2K wanted to make Steph Curry like he was in real life. And with that, we have the greatest shooter we've ever seen in a My Team game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like Corey Kispert comes close. A couple of guys come close. It doesn't matter what Steph Curry was doing to people in NBA 2K16. If a small guard could do that nowadays, they'd still probably be the best point guard in My Team. But no, Steph was just unguardable that year.
Like, I still remember facing this Steph, and everyone calls it break the game Steph. Break the game Steph had nothing to do with My Team. This was just a Steph Curry that could launch from half court. There was nothing you could do to guard him. The guy could launch from half court. He had that scoop layup that was unblockable in the game. Man, that Steph was just pretty much unstoppable. Like, you just couldn't stop him. He wasn't great on defense, but you just couldn't stop him on offense.
And what do you get when you make Steph Curry from 2K16 6'8" and one of the best slashers in the game? You get this card right here. You might be saying, oh, how does he only have 2 Hall of Fame badges and be that OP? Look at what Hall of Fame Limitless Range did back then. Like, these are whites. If it doesn't flash green, it's not a green. You were hitting near half-court whites in this game with Hall of Fame Limitless. There's never been a badge in a video game as OP, well, a badge in 2K, as OP as Hall of Fame Limitless in 2K17. And only about 11 players had it. The difference is that most of the people that had it were 3-point specialists. They couldn't go to the basket. T-Mac was the best slashing point guard in the game. One of the best defensive point guards in the game. This was pre-position locks. Everyone played him a point guard. And again, the guy had literal half-court range. He was the most unguardable player in My Team up to that point. He was the better version of 2K16 Steph.
2K17 T-Mac was like the Steph Curry from 2K16, but he literally was 6'8". Like, I remember it was a JD, I think, playing me in a game with him, and I just couldn't live with him. I could not live with him. I couldn't guard him. Nobody could guard him. He was the tallest player in the game. He had the best fade in the game. You could fade from Limitless in that game. Nobody could stop this Tracy McGrady in 2K17.
Never has a player summed up just broken animations in a game more than this Giannis Antetokounmpo. So this is when Giannis, you can see it right there, one of the best releases in the entire game in 2K18. And like a 93-point shot that you could get plus 9 3-point shoots. So pretty much everyone's running around with their 99 3-ball Giannis. Either way, there were no player in this game that abused the blow-by animations like Giannis. He just moved faster than everybody else. Giannis' player build was so good. And you can just see there, his ability to just stop, start. And then you basically couldn't stop him because if you make contact, you trigger a blow-by animation. And if you knew how to perfect the stiff arm, you literally 5-out and scored every possession with Giannis. He was the best passer in the game. And again, this was also pre-position lock era of 2K. So every high-level player ran off point guard. Best defender in the game, because on-ball defense wasn't a thing, because everybody ran by everybody, so the only defense that mattered was help side and playing lanes. He was the best in the game for that. A really good shooter, one of the best ball handlers, and just one of the best cards we'd ever seen up to that point.
2K18 Giannis was just another unguardable player. Like, NBA 2K18 was just a year where you were able to run by anybody. You could run by anyone you wanted. There was the blow-by animation. Even though he had a 3-ball that was in like the 70s, it was one of the years where you could easily green with one of those. It was also back, if you guys don't remember, back in the day, Giannis had one of the best releases in my team. Up till this year, honestly. Giannis is a brilliant release up to this year. But I'm telling you, lads, this was the most OP Giannis has ever been. I'll stand by it that this is the most overpowered Giannis that has ever been, because you just couldn't guard him because of the blow-by animation.
So when it came to 2K19, I went with Andre Kirilenko because AK had base 11 the whole year. It didn't get nerfed, and he also had the normal 4-leaner, and he was available on day 1. It did not matter whether you chose to use the diamond, the pink diamond, or the galaxy opal. Throughout the whole year, they were on everyone's best squad. There was never a stage where the best team in the game didn't have an AK on it. He was Hito with defense, which is a lot less attainable. His normal leaner was equally as deadly as Hito's. He could lock down the other team's best player while also scoring 50 points for you. He was the best player on both ends of the floor. You could argue most times he was on the floor, unless obviously freaking Shaq or Giannis were on the floor. But his ability to shoot better than Shaq and Giannis meant that he was even more deadly. And this guy was a catalyst for why position locks are a thing. AK at point guard is a big reason position locks are a thing in general right now.
So Andre Kirilenko was just a freaking pain to come up against. He was like Hito on offense, but the best defender in the game. And he was available on day 1. Like, if you guys remember facing off against guys that just had way too many cards on day 1, he was 1,000 cards and you could get him on day 1. Like, I remember, I think I won like 40 games in a row to start off 2K19. And then I just remember facing AK and I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything on any of my players. AK was just that good. But yeah, I'm telling you, lads, AK was different that year.
And this card now, this Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I'm just saying, it was the start of June 2020. We were starting to come out of the first lockdowns to the extent that we were able to like leave our house. But you know what? Sometimes I didn't feel like leaving the house because of this guy. He was dribble glitching up and down the floor. In 2K20, if you held the L2 button while doing any of these moves, you just couldn't lose the ball. As well as that, he had the ability to quick stop. One of the best jump shots in the game, was the best on-ball defender in the game, best wing defender in the game. And bigs just moved differently. Every player, regardless of height, moved around the same. It's not one of the years where taller players move faster or smaller players move slower. Everyone kind of played at a similar speed, depending on their speed rating. But as you guys can see here, he's just, as long as you held L2, you didn't lose the ball. You could quick stop, you could go for cheesy hop steps, and he had the sky hook as well. It was just taking the piss. Like, if you didn't have this card for quite a while, you were screwed. Obviously, Yao Ming ended up being a little bit better, but he came out nearly in August. But up till that point, Kareem ran the game. Kareem ran this game from June until the end of the year. He was either the best or second best player. And for me, Kareem, maybe one of the 3 best players in my team history.
The first card I ever felt in my team where if you had the card, it was an auto win. I remember I ended my No Money Spent series because I was meant to be playing in a tournament, and I had to play on my own account, and I'm literally like, how am I meant to match up with another guy using Kareem? I have no chance. And it was for a decent amount of money, so I'm like, I kind of need this because I'm screwed otherwise. Like, I'm absolutely screwed. I don't stand a freaking chance. I don't stand a freaking chance, lads. If I don't have this Kareem. He was the best defender in the game. So it's not like now, where at least if you're smaller, you accelerate faster and you could run by Victor. No. Kareem was the best defender in the game. He was the best on-ball, best off-ball defender in the game. He was the best shooter in the game for some reason. He was the best ball handler in the game. And he had a dribble glitch to get run a straight line to the basket. A lot of people talk about Yao, but Yao came out in August, lads. Let's not forget, or whatever, 25th of July, whatever it was. Kareem came out 2 months before Yao. So it was 2 months of Kareem by himself running riot in 2K20.
Invincible Tacko Fall. This guy was free, but my God, was he a pain. He was an absolute pain to get. But at the end of the day, there was a reason for it. There's a reason a lot of people got him. Tacko Fall, you guys are seeing there, I'm just glitching around the floor. Whether you were on next gen where taller players were just faster with the ball than without the ball and he was unguardable, or you were on current gen with the speed glitch, Tacko could not be stopped. You could drop 50 a game with Tacko on anybody. I played some of the best players in the world on US host, and I was dropping 50 on their head with Tacko. They were dropping 50 on my head with Tacko, but it was literally like the ultimate equalizer. If two guys had Tacko and they knew what they were doing, regardless of what gen you were on, it was literally Tacko versus Tacko. Simbular, who came out very late in that year, was very similar, but compared to like Yao Ming, who was out at a similar time to Tacko, it's not even close. Tacko was so much better that year, and his jumper was so good as well in a year where you kind of had the green, otherwise shots weren't really going in too much.
2K21 Invincible Tacko. I lost my mind for this card, and he was worth it. He was worth it. When it was all said and done, like, I preferred Simbular, but like Simbular came out in August. Tacko Fall. Oh, lads, we cannot forget the nightmares it took to get this card. Like, as good as the card was, I still question whether or not it was worth it was worth it. Actually, it was worth it. I averaged 5,000 viewers in a stream, losing my mind going for him. So I made a lot of money. So yes, he was worth it. But still, Tacko Fall was just... It's hard to describe what Tacko was doing to people. He just ran by everybody. And the funny thing was, nobody could guard him because in the game that year, taller players moved faster with the ball than without it. So literally you were like, you just couldn't guard him. You just couldn't guard him. And I couldn't guard him. But at least when I used him, my opponents couldn't guard him either.
I show this gameplay every single time I talk about Luka Doncic because I think my very first gameplay with this card just sums up what it was all about. A card that wasn't really good at anything other than the fact he was uncontestable. Wasn't the greatest defender, wasn't the greatest going to the basket. It was just, if you didn't know how to guard him, it guaranteed 3 points every possession. From March until the end of the year, pretty much everyone had some version of Luka in their squad, so we're going to go with this one since he was the most relevant.
2K22, there's power within Luka. Like, he changed the game. And there's an argument to be made he's the best player in MyTEAM history. There's an argument to be made. Like, power within Luka, I used him, and I said it from the start, and I was like, if you don't have power within Luka and you're playing someone with Luka, even the 3 other Lukas that came out that day, you were just screwed. And I felt that. I stand by that. The thing was, he was expensive. He wasn't crazily expensive, a bit like Tacko this year, but if you didn't have Luka from March, whatever, the 4th till the end of the year, you were at a huge disadvantage.
And we gotta talk about Yao Ming from this year. A most overpowered list or best list it can't exist without this Yao Ming. So we didn't even realize how OP he was for a few days, but he was one of the best shooting centers in the game. 7'6", the fastest center in the game, the best ball handling center in the game, the best slashing center in the game, the best perimeter or post defensive center in the game. He was fast enough that he couldn't be abused in pick and rolls. And the fact is, a lot of us still have him at center. A lot of us still have this Opal Yao Ming at center because his hero is really expensive and this card is basically the exact same as his whatever the other dark matter is. He's maybe had the most longevity of a card since like 2K19.
He came out in January and he's still my starting center. He rebounds everybody. He doesn't even have the best player build in the game. He just hits shots. He gets boards. He's 7'6". In the game where height matters the most, Yao Ming, to be honest, he is, like, if we're looking at centers this year, there's Manute, then there's Yao. There's 3 Yaos. And the fact that the Yaos aren't that different, and one of them came out 6 months ago. Like, it's wild. It is wild. Like, we haven't seen this type of longevity in a long time in my team. And this Yao, I think, is, like, whatever with Tacko, more attainable. You saw Tacko more often. Yao was more expensive for longer. But, like, I paid like 60k for that Yao, and it was worth every penny of the 60k I spent for him, even last week.
And I know it's only been a few days, but I think it wouldn't be doing justice to Invincible Victor Wembanyama to not put him on this list. I was tempted to not put him on the list purely due to the fact that he did come out in late June. But at the end of the day, there's still 6 weeks of my team left. And it's going to be 6 weeks of playing this guy. This isn't the same as a guy coming out in August like Yao Ming at 2K20. But we've never seen a 7'5" guy do this. Like, he is 7'5", and the way he plays is almost an equivalent of 2K20 Kareem. You could maybe make the argument he's the best ever. I'm still going to say power within Luka, but Victor's close. Victor's so close, especially with triangle cuts.
Oh, he is maybe the best. Like, for me, it's between him and Luka and Kareem for the best MyTEAM player ever. Victor came out early enough that I'm not putting him into 2K20 Yao, where there's not enough time to use him. He's a 7'5" small forward with the best dribbling in the game, the best leaner in the game, a borderline uncontestable jump shot, and just runs to the basket and can't be stopped. In a game where height means everything. Like, I can't guard Victor. Victor can't guard Victor. If you know how to tray fade, Victor can't guard Victor. There's nobody in the game that can guard Victor. It's scary. He's going to run the game for the rest of the year. There's not going to be an alternative. So anyway, that is the video. Let me know who you guys think is the best MyTEAM player ever. Which of these 10? These are in no particular order. We're looking at guys from specific games. I said not to put any of them 2K13 or 2K14 because I think there was a lot more balance in those games. And yeah, I think I'm happy with my list of 10. So we basically have one from every year, and I went for 2 this year because I can't not have Yao. He's how good he is right now. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Who is your opinion for the best players ever? Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to watch another video, it'll be one kind of in this range right here, I hope. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.